So, hello and welcome to another Crime Scene Press interview. This time we are speaking to Mr. Klas Ekman, who is the author of a very nice book, Oameni capabili. In Swedish, it's Dom capabla. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
And Mr. Ekman, you are a journalist, you are a non-fiction writer, and now you are a fiction writer. You also work for one of the most prestigious publishing houses in Sweden, Volante. My first question, however, would be if you could tell us a bit more about you than what I just said.
Well, the rest is yeah, living with my girlfriend and the daughter in Stockholm, and trying to read as much crime fiction as I can.
Yeah, great. So, like I said, you've been writing non-fiction books for some time. You've been a journalist. What inspired you to turn to fiction writing?
Okay, let's see. Actually, I started writing fiction quite a few years ago, but I was actually just to become a better feature writer. I wanted to go over to like true crime and stuff. So I went at a workshop, and it was very, very, very fun. And then it just rolled on. So first, I wrote a book that was very, very bad, and then I wrote this one after learning from the many mistakes on the first.
So you wouldn't? I mean, you're a fan of these workshops, because I've heard people having mixed feelings about them. There are some people who encourage others to go to workshops, and some people who are like, "Oh my God, what's this? You can't go to a workshop."
Yeah, I know. I think that depends on like the teacher, and I was very, very lucky because basically for me it was more like you had to write 20 pages every time,
mm-hmm.
And I'm a world-class procrastinator, so it was just wonderful, because as I also did some like writing for a living. Writing or my own writing always came back. Mm-hmm. You could play second fiddle or something. So mm-hmm. It really gave me a push to actually write the book.
Okay. And how would you compare the two experiences, writing articles or nonfiction to writing fiction?
I think when you write non-fiction, there's so, like in 95% of the cases, you're actually writing about a person who has at least a bit of input in mm-hmm. how he or she or they are portrayed, mm-hmm. and that's not, and that always makes the article a bit not as good as it could have been. Mm-hmm. So writing about the people, fictional people are much better. It could be much truer, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they have no objections.
no objections.
Yeah,
yeah. Won't slander you on social media if
they don't like how they're portrayed. Yeah. So how did you choose crime fiction in particular?
I think it was just it couldn't have been anything else. I've always read crime fiction, and like even all the classics I really like Crime and Punishment are also crime fiction in a way. Absolutely. And Count of Monte Cristo and everything. So it's I don't know. There's almost nothing you can't do in crime fiction. And I think if if you're really interested in like what makes us humans tick and everything, you have it there always. Although it's like the most extreme sides, like life and death and everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's much more freedom now because the genre has evolved a lot from Agatha Christie, for instance. Was a bit more formulaic there, maybe, but now.
Yeah, and I think that even television has been quite good. You know, like of taking the like old anti-hero from like James M. Cain novels from the 30s and 40s and Jim Thompson and so on, just to make it like almost like rediscovering the whole noir genre again, where usual people just take very bad decisions and keep going.
Yeah. This is your debut novel. Don Capabla, Oameni, capabili in Romanian. What was the inspiration behind the story?
I think I was just thinking about two people breaking up and then have to get stuck with each other no matter what. And then I was thinking, how would that go? And then I got this whole accident scenario, and then I thought out the end, and then I just had to go from the incident to the end somehow, and that was the big that was the big problem. So I almost like I had a really clear direction of where I was going and where from, but then it was like the whole second act was the what I worked the hardest with, I think.
Okay. So it seems to me that the book discusses issues of morality, of responsibility, taking and accepting responsibility, and also it seemed like a social novel mixed with a crime novel. It's very complex. I was wondering how much of the characters' reactions do you think are influenced by the type of society they live in, and how much of their reactions are just their own choice?
I would say I would guess 50-50 actually. I've grown up in a place very much like the one where the book is situated, and I always thought it was kind of even as a kid kind of annoying how much people just made for show.
Okay.
So I would say 50-50. It's like both society, but then of course it's also themselves.
Okay. And do you think also in real life it would be the same way, like it's 50-50 mixed, or maybe society has a bigger impact, or just personal choice?
I suppose society might have a bigger impact, but still there's also a bit of will in it. But I think it was I really liked when an old existentialists in Paris said they really liked Raymond Chandler and Pulp Fiction because they said it was American existentialism, and about like the things we choose to do. So I think the whole moral thing is more like I was just like trying to find out how long this took. These two people were actually going to go.
the action, the plot is so tense and twisted, and I think it turned out extremely well, and actually very, very believable as well, and gripping at the same time. You talked about morality a bit earlier. Do you think any of the characters are redeemable? Because if there's someone watching who hasn't read the book, there are almost all the characters in the book make some questionable choices, let's say. Do you think any of them are redeemable?
In a way, at least, I think that the two main characters, Anna and Johan, are well, Anna you can understand, and I think Johan you can understand in sort of a maybe not as emotional but more theoretical way, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of, I liked all the characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the pure assholes.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. So yeah, but I would probably say that Anna is redeemable in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, you liked all the characters. I'm convinced everybody will like the characters because they're very, very believable, and they have their own subjective reasons for doing stuff. It was more of a like, is there any light at the end of the tunnel type of question.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said earlier that you were born and raised in a place that's quite similar to the town you describe in the book. However, if I remember correctly, you don't give a name to the town in the book.
No.
Why is that?
Because in a way I wanted it to be able to be anywhere,
mm-hmm.
and also that I took some really big. I want to take some really big freedoms with the geography.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have to drive really weird ways to little places where I want to set it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the next one would be more precise there, actually.
You received last year, you received the Crime Time Award for this novel, the debut award.
Yeah.
This question has two parts. First part, how do you feel about the award? I mean, it's great. But on the other hand, I was wondering, would you prefer to receive awards from critics, or would you prefer to be read by as many people as possible if you were to choose just one?
I would choose read by as many people as possible. I mean, critics, and I've been a critic myself. It's basically that. Of course, I'm graceful, but basically it's a lot about timing and if someone had a good day when they got the book in the post or not. I mean, no, I will always prefer readers.
Speaking of critics, do you know? I mean, has it ever happened to you to discuss with people who disconsider crime fiction as it's not literature, we can't read that? What do you think about this debate, because it's been ongoing for so many years?
Yeah, I know. Okay, this might sound harsh, but when I meet someone and that's their opinion, I just okay, don't need to take a beer with this person again, because that's too narrow-minded. apparently nothing that person can say that will ever be interesting, because, haven't they read, if they have an opinion on literature and can't read crime fiction or anything else, and can't understand that there's some really great stuff being written. Okay, I don't read much feel-good literature, but I'm sure there's fantastic feel-good books being written. And if you're that narrow-minded, then you probably might have to live with that it would be better not having an opinion at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's fantastic stuff being done in crime fiction, and it's been done since hundreds of years. Yeah. Although it wasn't labeled crime fiction then. It's it's insane that this discussion is still raging, and there's one side that's right, and it's crime readers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many people reading crime fiction. You would imagine that not all of them are tasteless regarding literature. They have found something they like. And going back to your book, who do you think is the target audience for your book, and how would you recommend the book to someone who's never read it before?
I think the target audience might be people who have like in the, at least in the 30s maybe, or just having had a few longer relationships. I don't think I would have liked it a bit if I was like 25. Mm-hmm. But 32, definitely more, because in a way I suppose it's like a bit of maybe from middle-age readers, if they want to, if they're the sort of readers who sort of want to have worse examples of themselves. But yeah, okay, I'll take that back. I don't think a 25-year-old wouldn't like the novel, but I think that maybe a 32 or 35-year-old would see more, would recognize more of the sides of life when you're not young anymore, or not very young anymore. I was sort of in a divorce during the time it was written, so I think that might have colored it a bit, even. Yeah.
Okay. And how would you recommend it to someone if you met someone on the street and they would ask you to recommend your book? How would you describe it or recommend it?
I would probably just say, give it a try. I'm sure you won't be bored.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because that's what I really hope, that no one will be bored, because I worked really hard with the tempo and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't be. It's captivating, and it's captivating because there's so many social elements in it, I think, and very psychological, and it just grabs you and never lets go. You want to.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. You want to see what happens next and what bad decisions everybody's gonna take. As this is your first fiction book, or the first one published, the second one you wrote, yeah. What advice would you give to aspiring writers?
The one I've used, a couple of times, and also in like non-fiction, so it's from Flannery O'Connor once said that you should write from the end when you get stuck.
Okay.
And I've done that a few times, when I got stuck, and so like if I after 2/3 didn't really know how to proceed or what scene would really work and so on, I go straight to the end, write the end, and then the scene before the end, and the scene before the end, and so on till I get there. And it's really so like a good way to see what you need and what you don't need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah. Do you have like a routine, a daily schedule for writing?
Yeah, I try to do it very early in the morning, and for like just a few hours. So it's waking up, grabbing a coffee, and that's probably why the books might turn out quite dark, because I'm not really in a good mood in the early morning.
Yeah.
Although I've noticed that if you go up very early, I don't think like the self-hatred is not the right word. Was it well, your inner critic hasn't woken up.
Okay. Yeah.
At least mine wakes up around 10:30, 11. So my best work is done before that. Then after that, everything is horrible.